Morning campers, how the devil are you? It's nice to be out again on a walk. It's the end of, it's actually not the end of September, it's the beginning of October. So autumn is pretty much getting into full swing, and it has been a while since I got out, so the temperature has dropped, and BBC had forecast 10 days, 2 weeks of rain. Bloody busy this little lane, considering it leads nowhere. Yeah, the BBC had forecast, you know, a good 10 days, 14 days of rain, and yesterday absolutely hammered it down. Surprised that the rivers are coping. I'm sure we'll see when we get down there. These rivers down here, certainly the one next to my flat is bulging, and so you know, it's going to be interesting. But the blue skies come out. There are a few grey ones on the horizon, but I thought I'd jump at the opportunity to get out and about that glimmer of blue sky and the sun just poking its head through the clouds. Make the most of it. It's not always possible on my 2 days off to do this, and it's usually raining, which is unfortunate, and that'll be more often the case, I guess, now as we go into winter, autumn and then winter. But yeah, here I am, Broadbottom, just doing a familiar one today, try and find a few extra little paths to go down. Broadbottom to Marple Bridge. And what I've done brought with me today is my little stove. I've got a new stove that I ordered. It's the titanium Bushcraft Essentials stove. So if I can find any dry wood, which is also going to be a problem, then I might cook something up to eat, or at least a coffee. I do also have my gas stove, just in case there's no dry wood. This little path that leads down to the main river, the Ethero, there's a little stream on the left hand side of it, and normally you can peer over into the stream and you know, hunt amongst the pebbles and stuff. As you can see here though, you may be able to hear the stream, but just completely overgrown. I have spotted something good though. Ooh, look at that. Nice, my first blackberry of the year. In fact, might make it 2. Nice juicy bit of vitamin C for breakfast. Oh, yeah. Third time. Lucky. Onward ho, as nobody says. It's been a good few weeks since I was down there, as I said, and the rain has been heavy. And you only need to look down behind me on the river Ethero, just to see that there's hardly any beach. And yet, when I was down here last, you could walk all the way, you know, all the way out to where you can see that spit over there in the distance. It was just all shingle. You may have remembered, if you've watched that video, that some mallard ducks just came up to me to say hello and try and steal my lunch. But yeah, it's amazing just how much the river changes when there's just been a little bit of rain. Yeah, so no beach here today. I'll have to plod up through the forest now and see if I can find some timber. So up into the forest now, steep climb through the forest, and this is the signposts that we have here. Back forest, or backwood I think it's called. Didn't know either of these two routes existed, so I'll be checking those out at some point. And up we go. So not much in the way of flowers on view today. Berries obviously are now starting to rear their heads. Just the remnants now of some of these flowers, which are prevalent everywhere still, but Foxbay, Rosebay willow herb, I think that was, invasive species. Apart from that, not really much anything else. I have seen some red campion and some, what do you call it? They're very similar but smaller looking ones. It'll come to me in a minute. Herb Robert, that's it, Herb Robert, which I've talked about previously on other walks. But no, so eyes peeled now for anything, of course, that's going on around me, wildlife and flowers, but also a stash of dry wood. That would be good. Would be good. Might try this route instead this time, see where that leads. Yeah, I might try it up there. The woods around this Etherow Valley really are full of these little fairy paths and steps that someone at some point has obviously put in, and it really does add to the enchantment of the place. If only the forests in England were bigger. Lovely little babbling brook, although not quite so babbling at the moment, and everywhere is extremely slippy, so I'm taking my time. Why do I do these things? Oh. Sorry, Mr. Pigeon. Whew. Isn't it lovely? Just so verdant. Nature has it. The moss on that silver birch there, just beautiful greens and browns. Such an intricate plant as well when you get up close to it. Amazing. So I'm getting covered in thorns and stung by nettles, but I don't care. I'm out and about. Okay. Just spotted these little puffballs down here. Don't know if you can see them. Obviously, and some more over here. Obviously some sort of puffball. Probably edible, at least when they're perhaps a bit younger and paler, but they look yellow and disgusting. So I'm not going to bother. So I've seen quite a bit of fallen wood, like this birch here. You can see it's completely rooted from the ground, but totally sodden to the core. And all the wood around here, the fallen dead wood, seems to be like it. I did, however, spot this majestic mushroom. What a handsome chap he is. Again, I am no expert, so I'm not going to pick it or harvest it or whatever the phrase is. But it does look like it could be a juicy morsel if fried up, like the is it the chicken's foot mushroom or something that's you can fry it up and it's a bit like a KFC. I'm going to Google Lens it and see if I can find out what it is. But yeah, and it's also covered in lots of little flies, which doesn't look appetizing. But yep, I'll leave him for another day, and maybe one day I'll get a book and find out what they all mean. Well, on Google Lens it did say this is a birch polypore, which is a parasitic fungus that grows almost exclusively on birch trees, which this obviously is. And it says inedible, so I'm glad I didn't have a big chunk of it. Although it has been apparently researched for chemical constituents, including a chemical that can get rid of tapeworms, which is interesting. Anyway, onwards ho, on paths unexplored. And so I've just exited the forest, quite a climb through there. Grand old oak tree there, but that's been there for a good 100 or more years. And we skirt now the edge of the Etherow Valley. Just up there behind the trees will be the two telegraph masts that I'm familiar with by now. And I just spotted another dainty little thing down here, glowing in the sun. And there we have, as you can see by its shininess, a field buttercup. It's when I'm on paths like these with huge trees and hedgerow either side and a dip down to quite a naturally stony path through the canopy here. The canopy actually goes right across the top here, look, and makes you think, was this an ancient stream, or was it an ancient footpath that's just been maintained, perhaps, or because it's a stream, it's stayed as it is. I mean, we've had heavy rainfall and there's no stream down here today, but or maybe even it was man-made. You know, perhaps someone got a load of stones and not gravel. It's just big chunky stones, and laid them as some kind of through route path or sheep droving ravine or something. Who knows? I wish I knew more about this stuff or the local history. And I'm going to chomp through this bit because the gnats are out and about. Actually, towards the top after my little stomp, it does seem like there is a bit of a stream running through it still. Glad to be through that. Bloody gnats and midges everywhere in that little alcove. Right, where next? See, that continues up there. Is that where I want to go? Or that way, over the cattle grid. Or that way. Don't think I've been either in any of these. Don't think I've been either of these directions before, so bit of adventure, but I think I'll just have to check my map before I go completely the wrong way. Lovely field of sheep there. Got beautiful, creamy, thick, full coats, and not very dirty, which is unusual for sheep. And they're all saying hello, hello. And separated by two barbed wire fences. On the other side of the lane is Mr. Ram. Hello, Mr. Ram. Don't think I'd like messing with you. Yeah, you're not scared, are you? I'll leave you be. Another little scratch. Hey. Got a little scratch. Got a little scratch. There you go. Come on, be brave. Come on. So you can be brave when you want to. Braver sheep than the sheeple that we call the public. Any picture taken? No? Not going to say hello. Well, I went left. Left was wrong. Private farm, no footpath signs. So back up the incline again. Try the next one. So back up the natural / man-made ? Mini stream, very boggy actually on either side, but if you walk in the gravel of the stream itself, it's not so bad. It's just stony, and I've got a good pair of very waterproof Scarpa hiking shoes, which have served me very well so far. touch wood, if I could bloody find any. So hopefully we're nearly at the end of this very enchanting little tunnel of wildlife, and we shall emerge onto the road, if my estimation is correct, that will take us over towards the golf course, and from then on down into Eto Country Park. And it does indeed look like that. Oh. Whew. I always forget just quite how much uphill there is, and which is made even more difficult, of course, by sploshing through mud and undergrowth. Here we are. Whew. Another steep bit of hill here now, and then it's downhill all the way. I wonder if that chip shop is open in Marple Bridge on Thursdays. Friday, it's Friday, maybe it'll be open, who knows. This is an exceedingly straight bit. No, I lie. An exceedingly bendy bit of very steep road. I now remember this from last time. I had a little bit of a panic halfway up, thinking I wasn't going to make it. It was a much sunnier, hotter day then. You can just see my camera is actually vertical, and you can see I can just barely get the road in as it goes up. Whew. Certainly do my calf muscle good anyway. All exercise is good exercise, isn't it? Nice to see a little bit of autumn leafage going on there as well, draping over the wall. Beautiful colours. I really do look forward to autumn, and I can't wait to come back here and to the other places that I go to as autumn takes hold, just to see the beautiful colours, the arrays of oranges and greens and reds. And there we are. The up is no more, the down is ahead. And so it is, as I leave Beacon Farm and the Etherow Valley and start my way across the stile down into the forest along by the river, that I realise that never truer word has been spoken than that which I notice here. As I mentioned earlier, I was hoping to find some dry wood on this excursion so that I can use my my bush box, and I've been unlucky so far. This is the last bit of woodland that I might be lucky in, and I was tempted to ask up at Beacon Farm if anyone had a log that I could borrow. You know, sometimes these countryside dwellings, they do have a log store that they keep of seasoned dry wood. A lot of the countryside accommodations still use wood as their, at least as a fire, if not to heat the house and the water and other things, but no luck. So I think the only solution to this, if I don't have any success today, is to write it off as a bad idea during the winter, or alternately find another source of wood, somebody that I know perhaps, or maybe I could buy some, and the ultimate solution of course would be to think ahead during the spring and the summer, when there is dry wood lying around and the temperature means that, you know, dead trees haven't become sopping wet, and do it that way. So might have to just resort to the burner today, just to heat my little snack, or make a coffee, or one of the two, and explore the bushbox thing at another date. Well, I've come through the forest now, or I'm in the forest, and taking a different route to past an orchard and down to something called a keg pool, which ultimately is next to the river. So I'm hoping to get down to the river. I have found a few twigs and stuff, but I don't know if I've got the confidence to do it. Meanwhile, a lovely little cottage there. Looks almost Swiss style cottage with the Victoria creeper turning that gorgeous red on the side of it. Can you see that? Shade of the sun maybe getting in the way. But yeah, look at that. That's just beautiful. Made it down to the keg pool, whatever that means. Some kind of reservoir for the works that were here a few hundred years ago, I guess. And a great big family of swans making their way over. You can see one white one and several, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, obviously still well, almost grown up, but they've still got their youngster plumage on them. Majestic birds. So hopefully this way is the river. So I've been down past the pond and down to the river, but as you can see behind me here, the river is just blockaded by these huge, great big, I think these are still rosebay willow herbs, but they're enormous. They're like twice my height, some of them, and I'm just surrounded both sides. So rather, it looks a bit like a jungle, you know. It's rather than slice my way through those and then sit on a muddy riverbank, because the bank of the river is really high, of course, because of the rain. So there's no pebbly beaches to sit and get a stove set up. And I feel like I'm making excuses for myself, but there's also quite a few dog walkers, and I don't know what the rules of this park are, to be honest with you. They may well not let you have open fires, even though it's a small contained stove, and of course I'd be very careful about making sure it was put out completely with water from the river, which is why I want to be next to the river. So yeah, a bit of a dilemma. I just googled the chip shop as well in Marple Bridge, because after last time I still haven't been there, and I'm tempted by it, but shuts at 2 and then opens at 4:45. What strange hours to shut and then open again, you know? Surely just stay open. So chip shop out of the question, getting the stove on the go out of the question, probably, especially considering the fact that I'd have to wait for the wood that I have managed to salvage to burn down to embers to really then start cooking properly. So, you know, what do? I'm going to get me gas stove out, find a nice park bench, which is I've seen a few a bit further up in the wood. Find a nice bench, get my stove out, and heat up my camping food, whatever it is, Wayfarer or one of those. Korean barbecue beef with rice or something like that. I'm going to have that still quite early, 10 to 2. Get to Marple Bridge, have a nice pint or two, and then I'll be ready for when I get home for my beef ramen, which is what I cooked last night, which was delicious, and I'll have that when I get home. Marple Bridge chippy, you're on my list. So, Korean style beef with rice. Apparently, I just added a little bit of water to it, just because it's quite a solid lump, and I want to be able to heat it through gradually without burning the pan. It looks like it's bubbling already. And then I'll make myself a coffee after that. Shut up, you noisy gits. I seem to have attracted a family of mallards and one, is it a goose or a duck? That white one, who seem intent on stealing carbohydrates from me, which I haven't got. Even the swans came over to say hello. So I'll get back to you when my dinner is ready. So it's nice to have some hot food on a walk instead of just cold stuff, snacks and stuff like that. Wayfarer. Wayfarer Korean beef and rice. The rice isn't that fluffy rice, it's that more rounded stuff that obviously keeps better when you heat it up in a packet. Lots of flavour. Herbs, spices, not too salty. Not much beef in it, although the beef may be just very finely ground. Certainly going to feel a whole. Very tasty. Bits of carrot in it, maybe some bits of peppers. Not particularly spicy, as you might imagine Korean food to be. Certainly according to my students when I used to be a teacher, the Korean restaurants that they recommended and invited me to sometimes, they said it was quite spicy food. Not spicy. He said, coughing. Actually, that was quite spicy. You know, it kind of one of those that grows on you and creeps up on you, smacks you in the back of the head. Quite a bit of spice to it. Quite a tinkly, nice, tinkly, spicy spiciness to it. Not too much. You don't notice it at first. So yeah, well done, Wayfarer. That was a very tasty meal. Fill me up. Not as good as fish and chips though, is it? So, going to rinse my little cup out now and see if I can get some coffee on the go. See all sorts of things when you're sat having a coffee in the peacefulness of the forest by the lake. That's a woman with a huge bag of seed, presumably, feeding the wildfowl. Chucking huge, great big swathes of handfuls of grain into the river. Surely they get enough natural food. Mentioned this on a previous video. But they obviously look forward to it every day. She said, "Oh, I'm late today." Ah, England's green and pleasant land, eh? Leaving Ethrow Country Park behind and making my way down the final country lane to Brabbins Park, and I'm thinking a pint of ale. I'm knackered. It's been a good day. As I suspected, those two little beaches, or one beach as it was at one time, down there don't exist anymore, or barely exist. I wouldn't be able to get down there. There's not much exploring to do down there. the shelf of the land, the pebbly beach that used to once spread out halfway across this river is now gone, probably due to the rain that we've had. And over the other side, that island in the middle was just shingle, and now it's completely overgrown. Once again, guys, thanks to the Norfolk Arms in Marple Bridge. Cheers. Boy, that's a good place. Great place this. Nice little town, busy street outside. Nice place, couple of pubs, good chip shop apparently, which I still haven't tried. But my feet are aching and I'm glad to sit down after a good probably 7 or 8 miles, and then comes the train home. Another successful outing and looking forward to many more. Why is it every time I come here, sit down in the sun to have a nice pint at the end of a walk, the grey clouds come? Look at it. I just felt the first few spots. Ah, my giddy aunt.